Welcome to the sixth session of this week's Planet to Plate Festival. 3 days of talks, performances and live events to celebrate the work of the Institute for Sustainable Food at the University of Sheffield. I'm Peter Jackson, one of the Institute's two co-directors, and it's my very great pleasure to introduce Tony Ryan and Moed El-Maslamani from the Grantham Centre for Sustainable Futures. The Grantham Centre and the Institute for Sustainable Food work closely together, as you'll see from tonight's presentation. They're going to talk about the Desert Gardens project, which recently won a Green Gown Award in recognition of its contributions to sustainability. Starting with some disused mattresses and working closely with the people who live in the Zaatari refugee camp, the project used hydroponics to grow food in the desert, work that is now being recognised and rolled out by the UN High Commission on Refugees. I think you'll agree it's a moving story about the use of science for humanitarian ends, and we are proud to share the Desert Gardens story with you this evening. There'll be an opportunity for question and answer at the end, so please pose any questions using live chat or Twitter on the handle #PlanetToPlate. There'll also be a donations page at the end if you're moved to donate to the project. So let me now hand over to Tony and Moed. Thank you.
Hi, thank you very much. I'm Tony, this is Moed. And as you'll see as we go along, we work together a lot. We'll interrupt each other. I'll ask him questions, he'll ask me them back. But I want to tell you how we started. So, when I was en route to the COP21 talks, I passed through St Pancras Station. And in there was a dress for our time by my friend Helen Story, a dress designer. And it was a dress made from a UNHCR tent. And it was there to show how climate change and changes in agriculture and food production cause conflicts that drive migration. And as the forebear of the Institute for Sustainable Food, the Grantham Centre organised a whole host of events at the climate change talks about climate-smart agriculture. And you can see on there Duncan Cameron, who was part of a panel with other colleagues, where we talked about soil erosion and the need to look after our soil. And even more, the need to generate synthetic soils. So on the train on the way back, we were talking about what we might do. And on the train on the way back, we also talked about Zaatari, because Helen Story had invited me to visit. So in July 2016, after the climate change talks, I went out to the Zaatari refugee camp. It's home to 80,000 people in 8 square kilometres. It's a refuge, but it's also essentially a prison. And you can see the armed guards on the outside of this camp. Initially to keep people out, but then to keep people in. And what the refugees told me they missed the most was the colour green. I'm talking to the green hand lady, and it reminded me that we needed the colour green to bring things to people's lives. And she tried to cultivate plants in this really hard desert, salty ground. And it really hadn't worked. And she'd even bought some synthetic grass to wrap around her tent. And it reminded me of something that Duncan and I had done 8 years previously, when we made polyurethanes to grow green roofs, to support plant life, to act as synthetic soil. And these are the experimental tanks that we forgot about and left at the back of the greenhouse. And we went and found them again when we got back. And the plastic had degraded, but the plants were still growing, and the polyurethane foam was happily supporting them. So we looked for a new PhD student. When I was in Zaatari, they took me to this place and said, "We don't know what to do with these." What do we do with these? These mattresses. And actually, I have here a bag I bought in the refugee camp to fetch some mattress back. It's still got the airline tag on. And it looks like a crash mat. Yeah, this is the stuff that people use to sleep on, to lie on. And we look to turn this into soil. So I sent Duncan the most excited text message I'd ever sent. I know what to do. I know how we can give the colour green to these refugees. So we brought some polyurethane foam back, some Zatari foam, and learned how to grow tomatoes in it. Because tomatoes are the signature crop. Next slide. When we grew them, I'm not like John Selwyn Gummer. I'm not going to feed my kids things I'm not secure of. So we grew tomatoes. We took them to fruit and we tested them to see if anything had leached out of the foam into the plant. Because whilst this is a plastic, it does contain tiny amounts of tin catalyst, and we didn't want to have any tin in our tomatoes. So Harry Wright, who you're going to see in a little bit, started work on designing foams as synthetic soils. And he graduated in 2020. And he was part of the team that went out to Zatari refugee camp to scope out the kinds of things we could do. And this was the idea that stuck.
Of things is to sort them out.
The way our collaboration works is I cause problems and Moed fixes them. I'm hoping that you can see our film, even if we can't.
Sheffield University have a great commitment, not only...
You can certainly hear his voice, and you're going to be hearing more of it. And I guess you'll all realise that we have rehearsed this 5 times, but there's a million different ways that PowerPoint can get to you.
Sheffield University have a great commitment, not only in terms of teaching, but also transferring the knowledge.
We need to get out there and spread what we've learned to people who need it the most.
This is the second time the team's been here, and coming back builds so much trust. And because we've built the trust up with the team here, they've been able to ask us to do specific things with them to get more kids to schools. We've been able to build a trailer to go on a bike. There will be a school bus, and that has been completely co-created. The original idea worked, but not well enough, and then the locals really helped us rework it to make it a great solution.
It's very important for the refugees to grow their own vegetables, because they used to do that in Syria.
We showed them the first time how to grow things in polyurethane foam, came back to find they'd already built a farm. Just needed a few finishing touches to make it really sing locally.
The plan is for this project to be implemented within the entire camp, to have several prototypes built and have community members running the systems. They all have basic knowledge of engineering things. They know how to make things and build things, and then the parts which they don't have, they just make out of nothing.
The other thing we worked with disabilities, looking at making walking frames for children with cerebral palsy. We worked on the wheelchair.
One of the ideas was to build a specially adapted bike, so the hand-cranked bikes, and of people who can't use the legs properly. With a few pointers, they just went ahead and just built it. So the plan, potentially, is to build more of these bikes for people with disabilities.
So when I came last time, they were really interested in how they could power their mobile phones, working with the dynamos from the bicycle, looking at what we can make from the recycled polymer they collect. We're going to take some samples from them and reprocess and make something simple, like a flower pot. That would be a great achievement, because then they could probably do that here. So a lot of what we're trying to do is not necessarily make a complete finished thing, but give them the skills to say, that's how you do it.
We came over this time to look at helping with weatherization of the caravans.
They are collapsing, there's damp in the floors, and we're keen to move forward with working with them on projects like this where we can share the additional knowledge that we may have.
This visit, I also brought some social scientists who study governance, entrepreneurship and innovation, so that we can all work together with partners in Jordan to achieve the end goal of improved lives for both Jordanian citizens and refugees. So we'll be doing joint research projects around food, energy, water, livelihoods.
We're determined not to parachute in, interfere, dive out again. We really want this to be a sustainable relationship.
Academics really think about things, they really want to solve problems, and it's great to see their minds getting pushed to work on something which is so far outside of the norm for them.
So there are opportunities for our academics to look beyond the camp and to try and understand what is happening to Jordanian society.
It is important that university students get involved in this sort of thing, implementing the sort of gap between academia and the work we do in the universities into a practical application. There's something to be said about just implementing the technologies and getting the things you learn about and that out there and expanding the knowledge.
If you read the history of Sheffield, it was set up by penny donations. And to me, that makes Sheffield special. And knowing that that's where Sheffield comes from makes me feel that that's what Sheffield should be about. It should be about helping the people. The people that built Sheffield University would want us to do this.
By helping the refugees is part of our role and of part of our job also.
The ideal situation would be to have essentially two funding streams. So one funding stream so that we could fund interventions and working in camp without needing to bother about the academic research activity and just use the skills of the people that come from the university to work in this co-creation mode. When we're working here, the things we do allow us to co-create, so we can learn what it's like for people to live how we might all have to live in the future. Making life better for everyone wherever they are is what we do.
So now we're going to hear about what worked.
Yeah, thank you, Tony. So it was late 2017 when I met Tony in Crepes Cafe, and he invited me to join the team to Zaatari camp. He told me a lot about the potential there in the camp, large number of farmers coming from southern part of Syria, a lot of waste plastic which could be work as a container for the system that we would like to build, and foam mattress which he has tested with Duncan, and they found it suitable to be as growing media. So the goal was to teach the refugees how to use these foam mattresses and waste plastics to grow their own food. But how to start? The type of farmers that we are getting, they are traditional type of farmers. I have done a survey to hundreds of people, and I can tell all of them told me that we cannot grow anything without soil. So they have never heard about something about hydroponics. They know nothing about hydroponics or soil culture. And the biggest challenge was for us at the very beginning is to convince them that it is possible to grow plant without soil.
But first we had to convince you, right, before you could convince them.
Yeah, we have done a few tests also here in the lab, and we found that, yes, it's working. So due to this, we thought that we need to talk to people. So we start talking to people. We have conducted training for small, large group of people, male, female, young, old people, to all type of people, where we told them about what a plant needs to survive and to be to produce, what the difference between soil and soil culture, what the soil provides to the plant, and what the component of soil culture. We told them about the solution, nutrient solution, and how they can make it. Also, we taught them and we talked to them how they can build simple system at their caravan. We thought this is not enough. So we started bringing plants grown in soil and other plants grown in soil culture, in foam, and bring it to that training site just to show the people our work and to show, yes, plant can grow without soil and can grow in the foam. Also, we allow them to prepare the nutrient solution, to transplant the seedling, even to cut the foam and to check the pH and the AC. But again, we thought this is not enough because people told us we would like to try it at our caravan. So we start distributing few materials to the people, few pots with some seedling and nutrient solution. But I realized after distributing few hundreds of these pots and seedling, all of them, they died. None of them succeeded in growing anything at their caravan. So the reason behind that, they are, as I mentioned at the very beginning, they are traditional type of farmers. So they treated the plant growing in the foam in the same way that the plant grow in the soil. And I thought I need to have a direct contact with them to help and to support them. And the best thing come to my mind was WhatsApp, because if not all the people in the camp, I can tell the majority of the people in the camp, they have smartphone and they have WhatsApp as it is a way to communicate with their family member and relatives, either in Syria or in other parts in the world. So we have established WhatsApp group, and I was having between 30 to 40 WhatsApp group. And in each WhatsApp group, I was having between tens and some tens of people, some WhatsApp group, hundreds of people. And it was a lot of work. And I used to receive hundreds of messages every day. A lot of them, they are voice messages, which I need to listen and to reply. So it was very important for me not to ignore any person and to show them they are valid member, and I will respond to their inquiry. And it took me a few months to make this WhatsApp group work in highly efficient way and to make it highly focused and to make it perform in the way that is easy for me and for the other people in the group. Soon after that, we start receiving very nice images from people. People succeeded in growing stuff, growing different type of vegetables using the foam, the nutrient solution that we provide, and the waste plastics.
How many WhatsApp messages did you get today?
I can tell tens of messages every day until today.
And the most wonderful thing for me is I get a selection of the WhatsApp messages. I kind of get the top 10 once a week. And it's an absolute delight to see how once you've convinced one Syrian farmer that you can grow things in foam, that Syrian farmer will convince more Syrian farmers that you can grow things in foam. And WhatsApp is the way of doing the research collaboration, because all of these people are intrinsically researchers, because they're all learning together.
Yeah. What Tony mentioned is the right thing, because through this WhatsApp group, we come to know the mistake committed by people immediately, give us the chance to help and to support them to correct their the way how they conduct or how they work. Also help the people who succeed to share their successful story. Also, make us learn how things work in the caravan. Finally, it helped us to help them to succeed. So we thought this is not enough, and we need to show them how they can use different type of materials in the camp to build bigger system, and we need to scale it up a little bit more. So we have designed different system which suit the conditions in the camp, since we have different type of obstacles and problem which maybe we don't encounter here in UK. And we use the waste materials only to build this system. Those are the first two systems that we built in the camp, and it's 100% from waste material available in the camp. Even the tank, as you have seen in the video just before a few minutes, we built it there, and we have done the insulation, everything we have done, we used the waste materials available there in the camp. So also, not only this, because the electricity problem, which I'm going to talk about it in the coming slide. So with the help of engineers from Sheffield University also, we made a wind pump and manual pump. We made also a greenhouse to protect the plant from dust and other problems. So everything done and we built, it was 100% from the material considered as waste available in the camp.
And the thing that you saw in that film was there's nothing a Syrian farmer can't make with 4 tools. And that's a small hammer, a large hammer, a welding torch, and an angle grinder. And having access to the recycling pot meant that we could build wind turbines, we could build greenhouses, and we could put all these things together. And the non-verbal communication between University of Sheffield scientists and engineers who spoke no Arabic and the Syrian farmers who spoke no English was just a delight to behold. It's a shame you couldn't see my face when that video was playing, for the big smile that it brought to remember that great human contact that was brought out by what was essentially a big scrap heap challenge.
Yeah, thank you. So also we thought we need to build a mobile system. The goal was to take it to the training site to show the refugees, because maybe the system that we build is far little bit from their caravans. So we built this mobile system, which could be by bicycle. You can ride it. Even Tony used to ride it whenever we go there. So
I'm a really keen cyclist, and this is a repurposed
yes.
object. So we'd built these trailers to transport kids to school. The parents had safety concerns about them falling out of the trailers, but we had the trailers, and so they were used again to be the mobile hydroponic system.
Yes, just to show the people how they can scale and use different type of materials to grow their own plants at their caravan. The second challenge was for us is to standardize the growing process and to have protocol how to grow different type in the Zaatari camp using the system that we are proposing. And here we face different type of challenges: the water quality, the nutrient solution problem, the electricity, and the general growing process. With regard to electricity, the refugees have access only 8 hours to electricity in the camp. So due to this, once we build the system, instead of 1 tank, we use 2 tanks. We play with the level of the solution on the pipe. Also, we put like a tab just to control the flow of the solution to the system whenever there is no electricity, to ensure that enough the tank will continue to provide the plant with the solution during the period when there is no electricity. Also, we play with the size of the foam to avoid also drying of the foam, so due to electrical cut.
And we'll show you many of the innovations that were introduced by our extensive research team of Syrian farmers.
Yes, so we have done a lot of things just to deal with the electricity. Even the system that we built, it was hybrid type of system. It's mixed between deep water culture, NFT, and the drip irrigation, just because of this electrical issue in the camp. The water quality problem, in fact, it is hard type of water which contain different type of element and minerals, and I got different type of analysis from water directorate in the camp, which tells me what issue, what type of water that we are dealing with. Also, the other problem that with the water, that we got the water from wells. So every time they collect and they bring the water from different type of wells. So we don't have one type of quality for the waters. And we need to deal with this issue. The pH of the water was very high and not suitable for hydroponics. So it was sometimes it reached up to 9. However, we found solution to this also. We were able to deal with this. The AC also very high. Sometimes we measure it, it was 1.4. So it's very high, which is, if you talk to any person working in hydroponics, he will tell you, don't work with this type of water. But we did, and we succeeded in making that water work.
And the important thing to realise here is that growing plants in this really arid, hostile environment, because we're essentially in the desert, with a water source that has a high pH and the electrical conductivity basically tells you how much salt's in there, meant that the backwards and forwards between Moed and the refugees and making the measurements, and we'd taken all sorts of pH meters and electrical conductivity meters out with us, meant that we could get everyone together so that they didn't all have to make measurements, but those measurements and practices could be shared.
Yep. Also, we have issue with the nutrient solution. At the early stage of this project, if you work with hydroponics, then you need nutrient solution. The issue there that no... And once we started, there was some NPK fertilizer, which we use it to grow different type of leafy green and herbs, which work very fine. But at later stage, we need more fertilizer. And the law didn't allow us to bring any solid type of fertilizer to the camp. So we need to look for the source to buy and to find a suitable type of fertilizer which fit or match or work with this quality of water that we have, and should be liquid and it should be very cheap. So, and we source it from different places. We work with our partner, Jordan University of Science and Technology, who work with us. They provide some type of solution, but also we source it from other parts in the country. And we got now highly efficient, cheap, liquid type of fertilizer, which we provided regularly to the camp and which work in highly efficient way.
And the reason that you can't have solid fertilizer is that you can use solid fertilizer to make explosives. So you don't, you know, for many reasons, the police the camp police don't want us to be distributing something that could be made into an IED. So that's why we had to go down the liquid route.
Yep. It was another challenge for us is to find the proper concentration for different type of crop at different period during the year, during different season for different crop, and for different stage of plant growth with these different type and quality of water that we are using. And we succeed in solving all this with different trial, and now we have like a proper formula for each type of plant at different stages, even during different seasons also. Also work with the time for replacement. With this quality of water, you need to replace the nutrient solution regularly. But we succeeded for herbs now and leafy green to make it working until 45 days. And now we are working up to 2 months. For a plant like tomato and different type of fruit, we succeed in make it work up till 1 month. It was 21 days, but now we are working for 1 full month. So it was highly efficient, and we standardized all this process, and now we are happy with what we had, with what we achieved, and we are looking to make the time for replacement even longer. And we look to general growing process from transplanting to the plant until supporting the plant and ensuring proper fertigation to prevent different insect and disease. We have worked in the camp now, in Zaatari camp for more than 4 years. We didn't use any type of pesticide or insecticide. And even we have developed our own organic pesticide and insecticide to deal with different type of issues there. And we took all the preventative measures to prevent any type of issue similar to this in the system that we have built. Also, we need to deal with the cooling of the system, where temperature could reach up to more than 48 degrees centigrade in summer and could be freezing weather in winter. Since we didn't use any type of sophisticated, environmental control items, and we have developed like process and procedures to deal with all these issues in highly smart and highly efficient and cheap ways. Now, if you go to the camp, you can see these nice images. Now we are growing lettuce in very successful, very efficient, very good way. If you go there, you can harvest bean, strawberry, you can harvest lettuce, tomato, pepper, onion, tomato, different type of crop. We have growing successfully using the foam mattress and waste plastics available in the camp.
And there's in a women's centre, there's where there's an area where traditional crafts are practiced in order to make high quality goods for sales, but the women bring the children with them. And just go back one, and another one. The looks on kids' faces when they pick strawberries out of a drain pipe has to be seen. The joy is enormous. And it's not just about growing food, it's about growing well-being. That's really important in this work. It's transformational for people's feelings. And as is borne out by, it's not just food. People are now growing flowers, so you can go to visit caravans where folk have started doing their own hydroponics, and we've never given anybody flower seeds, right? And there are now ornamental gardens blooming as well as food gardens. So this fella, he's my favourite, Abu Wissam, because he lets me ride his bike when I go, and he's produced cabbages, tomatoes, loads of chilies, beans, strawberries, and the signature thumbs up. Yeah, I get a thumbs up picture via Moed from Abu Wissam every week, and it's brilliant. And the last time we went, which sadly was November before COVID, a WhatsApp message came, time for the big harvest. And what they did with the big harvest was they took it to our favourite kebab shop, our favourite falafel shop, and they made us falafel with tomatoes, onions, coriander, lettuce, all grown hydroponically. And it was, well, I have to say, Moed, it was the second best falafel I've ever had, because who makes the best falafel?
Yeah, they are in
His wife makes the best falafel. The number of times he's taken me to the second best falafel in the world is great.
Yeah. So this was not easy, as I mentioned. So we faced, until we reached to this stage, a lot of problems, obstacles, root rot, wilting of the plant, mineral deficiency. We face all these type of problems, algae, and many others. But we successfully overcome all these obstacles and problems. And now we don't have, I can't tell, any of these issues anymore. And
Abu Wissam was scowling in the corner of that picture at the root rot.
Yeah, this is the green hand man, yeah. Yeah. So it was very important for us that this work to continue after we leave. So due to this, our plan from the very beginning is to make it last as long as this camp is present in Jordan, Zaatari camp or any other camp. And it was very important also to make this technique very cheap and easy and more accessible to the people. And we thought also part of the sustainability of this work that it should bring some benefit to the people. So we thought we need to recycle more material and to show the people how they can recycle anything available around them to build their own system. And we have done a lot of work with this regard. Also, we thought we need to explore other type of system. As I mentioned in the beginning, we built a hybrid type of system which we copy it in different area and in different sector in the camp. But now we are exploring what other type which could work in highly efficient way also in the camp to give people more options.
And we've done well-being, right? We've allowed people to grow food.
Yeah.
But now the thing we're working on is how can we use what's been developed together to generate livelihoods.
Right.
And so making producing high-value crops is really important.
Yep. Also, we thought part of our sustainability program that we need to produce our nutrient solution locally. And we put a lot of thoughts and idea. Even the co-director of Food Sustainability Institute, Duncan Cameron, suggests that to take some composting unit from here, from UK to the camp, to help the people to use their waste food to produce their own nutrient solution. However, the COVID delayed a lot of program, but we are working daily with the refugees in the camp to produce these nutrient solution locally from waste food. And I hope in our next presentation we can show some of our results. So we are at early stage, but we are working on this. Part of our sustainability work also, we thought that we need to encourage innovation. And I can show you some of the refugees' work with this regard in the coming slide. Again, we thought that for this work to continue after we leave, that this work should bring some benefit for the refugees. And Tony suggested that we need to produce, using hydroponics, high cash crop like saffron, which we communicate with different growers to provide us with tubers, and we are in the process to get it soon because this is the time, I hope in the coming weeks, that we can get it. Also, he suggested that we need to produce some plant like Artemisia, which have some medical benefit, particularly during COVID. We show that this plant could have a great effect during COVID, could protect the people or give them some sort of resistance or improve their health. Also, we work with the International Research Center in Jordan to get some seed of Artemisia to produce it using our hydroponic system. Also, we thought that we need to incorporate our work with other work which is done in the camp to produce perfume by producing the plant which could be used to produce perfume as part of other projects like BBE project in the camp or Made in Zatari for ladies, which also we are involved in. So again, this is showing how people start building using waste plastics, anything around them to grow and to grow their own food.
Every time you go, there's a new innovation. So this is a deep root system where there's polished styrene foam, and it floats on top of the nutrient solution, and the roots go in. And again, you get there and see it happening.
Very simple, easy to build, cost nothing.
Yeah.
Again, people use yogurt boats and small hoses, connect them by small hoses to build, again, hybrid type of system, which is not a drip, not NFT, not deep water culture. Simple type of system, and I have a very nice film about this system who has been built by the refugees themselves, who have been trained by our staff in the camp. Again, this is the system who has been built at early stage of this project by one guy who attended our training. And I visited his caravan and I saw what he was trying to do with the foam and with the yogurt boats. This early 2018, where immediately after we start getting some sign of success in the camp.
So an onion farmer with 2 mattresses.
And we thought that we need to build a vertical type of system to suit the limited area and limited spaces in some people caravan, the people who don't have much space. And we have built different type of systems using very small type of pump. And again, we thought that we need to modify it even to get rid even of the pump. And we are working currently on this. And we hope that in the near future, people could just top up the solution from the top and no need for the pump at all. And we are working on the size of the foam, on how to make this work without any type of pump to suit the condition of some people caravan.
And who wouldn't want to have a tower of mint outside in their garden? Because mint tea is a really important part of Syrian culture, as I've learned.
Yeah, right. So I believe this is the first co-creation I have seen in the camp. A person who attended our training came after a few weeks with a small greenhouse for only one plant, who used two boats, small and big boat, and he used the hand soup pump to pump the solution from big boat to the small boat, and he used the foam mattress as growing media. Very innovative, co-creation, very nice type of work.
Yeah.
Also, to deal with the high temperature, due to high temperature in the camp, which I mentioned, it exceeds 48 degrees centigrade sometime, the nutrient solution won't be able to hold enough air for the root. For the root to function in highly efficient way, to grow and to be able to absorb different nutrients, there must be some air in the solution. So our staff build a water wheel, which could be, they can move it or use it manually to make the solution move and provide air to the solution. And we use it very successfully to grow different type of vegetables.
And again, all repurposed materials, the lids of drums, slices of drum, and even a bit of pipe as an axle to turn it round. And the turning mechanism is right angle joints from old plumbing. It's fantastic. And the expression we use, necessity is the mother of invention. Well, if you don't have much, you're really inventive because there's clearly a need.
Yep. Also, we thought that we need to make more effort to deal with deep water culture system, and we use also bike pump, as I will show in coming videos, how we use it to provide air to the solution. The people in the camp called me and they told me, we don't have electricity for 4 days and we need to pump the solution to the tank, otherwise the plant will die. And I asked and I looked for different solution, and we found there was small type of pump, manual pump, which cost 20 pence. And I asked them to connect it with hose to pump the solution from the lower tank to the top tank. And you can see how, in very simple, very easy way, we succeed in making that function. Very simple way, but it solved the problem when there is no electricity.
And I have to say this. So I'm a polymer chemist. I study plastics, and everyone regards plastics as being evil. But look, every piece of this is a piece of plastic, and all the things that have been repurposed are pieces of plastic, and the plants are growing in polyurethane foam, which is a plastic.
Yeah.
Just had to get the plastic in.
Again, we were looking to different way to deliver the solution manually, because we have this electrical problem, and we thought that some people, they don't have the financial power to buy a pump, electrical pump. And so our staff built this very simple system. So a few bush with the bike air pump, and you can get the solution delivered to your tank. Very simple, very easy, cost nothing. Also, this is what I told you about how we try to provide aeration to the solution. So if you give between 15 to 20 pumps using the bike pump, you will get more than 45 seconds of continuous oxygenation to the nutrient solution, as you are seeing now.
And the air is really important for the roots. If you don't have oxygen in the water, then the roots are going to die.
And we have examined all these, and it worked in very nice way, and the plant live happily within these conditions. During COVID, we didn't stop. So we continue to deliver training, but following the rules and regulation, social distancing, and we also continue to deliver nutrient and seedling and pots to the people who are interested in growing stuff at their caravan. Also during the COVID, we have got request by UNHCR to move to Azraq camp and to help in building hydroponic system there, and we have done so, and we train our staff there. So we have now 8 highly trained staff there, and this is what they have got now in Azraq camp. They just got online training, and you can see what they are doing there now.
And again, the important thing here is we've trained the trainers. So it's no good fat chemistry professor going out there and trying to tell a Syrian farmer they can grow stuff in foam. But if a Syrian farmer tells a Syrian farmer they can grow stuff in foam, it works. So training the trainers has been a real key. And clearly, training the trainers needs someone with the knowledge and local expertise.
Yes. But also during the lockdown, we expand to Turkey, and we start working with one organization there, helping Syrian farmers living in urban area, in Izmir area in Turkey, to grow their own food using, again, waste plastic and different type of media, which is foam, also available there. These images is from refugees' caravan.
Yeah. So outside people's houses, on the wall, right? So a caravan is essentially a metal box that gets modified to make it more habitable, and then eventually has a vertical garden on the outside. And we see these all around camp now. The knowledge and skills. So this is again, that's the back wall of someone's house, and this is the garden they've created from old drain pipe, polystyrene cups. You can see bits of foam poking out. There's a drum of nutrient solutions sunk into the floor, and then it's distributed around, along with, again, because they're great farmers, strings to thread plants up so you get a great crop. I imagine those tomatoes are far tastier than the ones you'd get in Tesco's, Sainsbury's, Waitrose, Asda, Aldi, Lidl. Have I mentioned them all now?
Yeah. And I believe now they have this privilege to be able to produce their own food, because as maybe we forget to mention from the early beginning, that people in the camp, they are not allowed to grow anything in the soil. So now we are giving them the chance to grow their own food using the small pipe, plastic pipe, and foam mattress, and the nutrient solution that we are providing. So the issue, not only the soil is very poor or they have limited access to water, but also the law doesn't allow them to grow stuff in the soil also.
Because in Jordanian law, if you make something permanent on the ground, you own the land. And whilst the Jordanian population are the most generous with respect to refugees, a quarter of the Jordanian population are refugees from various surrounding countries. Still, there are issues around community. So where's this one?
Yeah, this is lettuce also. This is in Zatari camp. And we have this also, people growing cucumber. And again, tomato.
Yeah.
Again, different type of cucumber. Tomato,
more
cucumber.
Tomatoes. I even started to say it like you now.
Yeah, just to show you how healthy are the plants, you can look to the root and see how they are happy. Just in simple pot, you can see the fruit and how the plants are surviving.
So my dad's a gardener, and I regularly share pictures with him, and he's very jealous of these roots. His beard's white as well, by the way.
Again, this system built in Azraq camp.
And this is someone's back garden, right?
Yep.
And they've scavenged bits of material to construct their own, essentially, allotment and share produce with their family and others. And yeah, we get videos from a smartphone showing what's worked, but also showing what doesn't work. And because there's a network of expertise around, sometimes the problems are solved locally and we only find out afterwards. And the input to our research on disease-resistant plants, on how to grow things in hostile environments, has been enormous.
Again, just showing you what people are doing at their caravan. So people didn't believe that they can get this type of plant at their caravan before we came there. They never imagined that they can achieve or get this. Now you can see what they are doing.
Yeah, more cucumbers,
Yep.
more tomatoes, different varieties. And again, the feedback on which varieties work, which don't, what to use as the foam substrate, where to put the roots, how much water to have, what the nutrient solution is, all shared in this community of growers via WhatsApp, managed by Moed.
Again, I don't want to load you with so many video just because I'm happy to see and to show you what people are achieving and what they are doing at their caravan now. Maybe it was impossible to do this before, but now this is what they achieved.
Yeah.
It's their effort and it's their work. Just we guide them and help them to do it. And this gentleman, you can see what he is doing.
Yeah, and yeah, the joy, just the joy just kind of comes over via the WhatsApp. Picking some tomatoes for what looks to be lunch. Sometimes there's commentary as well, but I can't follow it. You know, people stub the toe, and you can hear it all going on in the background because it's a smartphone video.
In fact, I watched this video so many times, and every time I saw it, I feel so happy. It's worth it, all this effort that we put there in the camp.
So as we're coming to a close now.
Yep.
Want to tell you a little bit about what's going on at the moment. So as COVID came in, because we'd been out and done all those different things, the camp management knew that we could help them with expertise. So they had no PPE. How do we make PPE? So in the Diamond, there's a guy called Pete Milon who got involved, and we used our friends from the University of the Arts London. So Helen Story came back with designs for face masks, how to make face masks. And then it all went quiet, and then all of a sudden we got a video with a mask house where they were making 800 masks a day. And now every refugee in Zaatari camp has access to homemade face masks in the camp. So we got a big grant from the Newton Fund to work with the University of the Arts, Al Al-Bayt University and Petra University. And we're just about to start hiring 40 participatory action researchers. That's just a fancy way of saying Syrian farmers. And all of this work, well, the majority of the work we've shown you has been funded by.
قصدي احنا جينا نزحنا من سوريا، الوضع كان طبعا وضع مزري ووضع مأساوي، دخلنا على الأردن هون على مخيم الزعتري، وبداية المخيم كان الوضع سيء جدا ومأساة، يعني كنا ببيوت ورجعنا عشنا هون بخيم 6 انفار أو 7 انفار بخيمة واحدة.
I came to Jordan 3 years ago to help the UNHCR with recycling. Found refugees who were really sad because they couldn't grow anything in the ground. Went into a warehouse full of mattresses that couldn't be reused as mattresses. We were doing hydroponics research in Sheffield. Put those two problems together and a beautiful solution came up. Refugees can grow things in synthetic soil.
I am a scientist from Syria, working in the University of Sheffield. Now I am here in Jordan, working with my fellow people, trying to make this Sheffield science work in the middle of the desert. 3 years ago, it started with the training just 10 people. They went on to train their neighbors. Now, after 3 years, more than 600 refugees have been trained to grow food using foam from old mattresses. It is not just about feeding their families or helping them to cook a meal that reminds them of home. It's brought them a sense of purpose. It's about empowering them with the new skills, and it's giving people hope for the future. Our aim is to train 5,000 more refugees in the next 3 years. We can only do that with your help. Please give today.
So the Desert Garden Appeal is there, and if you want to contribute to this work, we'd be delighted to say thank you, because it absolutely relies on our generous donors. Our work's been recognised, as you heard in the introduction, from Peter winning the Research with Impact Institution Award, and as we finish, there's just a whole host of people involved. Moed does all the work. I get to help him talk about it, and we're supported enormously by Harry Jake and Anastasia, Helen Story, Duncan Cameron, professors in Jordan, Just and Al Albayt, colleagues in the UNHCR, and the Green Beds team, Maya, Omar, Abu Wissam, Abu Marwan, Abu Mohammed, and Modar. And without your generous support and their enormous help, none of this would be possible. And we're just going to leave up on the screen the link to the Just Giving page and answer your questions.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That is such an inspirational story, and one that the Institute for Sustainable Food is so delighted and proud to be part of. So please, if you have questions, use the Twitter feed or send in questions. We've got a few to start us off, and I'll just read some out, and then Tony and Moed can decide who wants to answer them. But please, I'm not going to stand in front of the appeal sign, because I want you to focus on that as well. So the first question that came in during the talk was, this is an inspirational project, understatement, but how scalable is it beyond Zaatari?
So I'll let you tell them, because you've been driving this all over the world.
Yeah. So, in fact, we started in Zaatari, but as I mentioned, we moved to another camp, Azraq camp, and also we moved to urban area in Jordan, different urban area, either in the north or in the south. This is in Jordan. But also, we are also involved now in Turkey. We got some organization would like to help them in Pakistan, in Sudan, Egypt, Mozambique. And currently, we are working with WFP in Libya, and they want also us to help them in Algeria and different parts of the world. I was helping them for the last few months, but even I got recently, I told Tony, next week they want a meeting just to scale it up, and they want more involvement to help them in their work in different parts in the world.
And I guess the thing that we need to recognise is that this training the trainers model is enormously scalable. So you train the trainers, you have a source of reusable materials, repurposable materials. Every refugee camp inevitably contains farmers, so they're going to pick those skills up very, very quickly. and they're going to be in a strange environment, and growing things brings not only food but also well-being, the reconnection with nature and greening your environment. So it's eminently scalable.
Thank you both. I thought you might say that. Second question links to a presentation we had yesterday from Hamish Cunningham. They say, fantastic presentation. Have you thought about linking this in with the aquaponics system we saw yesterday?
Sure, and we have worked with that very team. We did something in Nepal, linking aquaponics and hydroponics and repurposed materials. The great thing about polyurethane foam is it will support a microbial community in a way that conventional hydroponic substrates won't, and it's part of our ongoing research. So it is possible, but the technology level's so much higher, right? This is something you can do on your kitchen shelf, in your garden.
Yes, I would like to add one thing that is part also of how to produce our nutrient locally. This question has been raised with our staff also in the camp, in both camps, and they were very keen really to start aquaponic, and this will help them to produce the food for the plant in an easy and simple way, not complicated way, which could be produced locally. So it's in our agenda, but when, how, we have need to work it out.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. There's a question about the temporary nature of people's residence in the refugee camps. So you talked about how literally refugees aren't able to put roots down into the soil. But I imagine that people stay in these camps for a long period of time. They're intended to be temporary, but they become more or less permanent.
Yeah,
so can you tell us about that?
So Zatari is the third biggest
camp in the world, yeah.
Well, the third biggest conurbation in Jordan as well. 80,000 people. There's kind of Irbid, Amman, and then Zatari for concentration of people. So they are very big, and they're around for a long time. There are Palestinian refugee camps in Amman that have been there for 40 years. So it's moving from surviving to thriving is what's important. Even if the camp evolves into just another part of a town.
Also, our work is part of empowering community and giving them the skill that they may use, if not now, maybe once they return back to Syria. So it's another part of this work also, to skill the people and give them skill that they need now and in the future, since the whole area suffered from water shortage also.
Fantastic. And there was another question about doing this work on a larger scale, but I think we've covered that. So let me then ask, in your ideal world, I think that means post-COVID, in your ideal world, what would your next step be? And their suggestion is it might be refugees exporting food or cash crops.
So cash crops we're already on. So part of the PP for Refugees programme, we have a makerspace, a bit like the makerspace that we have in the Diamond, where we can construct specialist equipment. So we're going to be building a commercial scale hydroponics facility in the university that's next door to Zatari camp. The Turkish farmers are already scaling up for market, right?
Yeah, and also 2 days back I got a call from UNHCR office in urban area, in Mafraq area, so outside the camp, and they were discussing the possibility of establishing small-scale commercial type of hydroponic system to empower as training, and not only training, as a small scale of commercial hydroponic system as trial to see how it works.
So growing herbs close to restaurants and those kinds of things, just like you get in kind of trendy urban farms in London and New York.
But one of the nice things in this is it wasn't just that, was it? Because lots of these systems are criticised for only growing fancy salad herbs and whatever. And this is clearly, you showed a whole range of crops there, which is very different from that. OK, we've got time for a couple more, I think. I've lost it. Yes, the idea of co-creation. You talked about that, and we heard a little bit about that from Pamela this morning in her work in Zimbabwe. But can you just say a little bit more about what co-creation means in this context and how it's different from more kind of top-down or externally imposed kinds of work?
So from my perspective as a professor, co-creation means I learn as much from the people that I'm sharing my knowledge with as they learn from me. And when it comes to hydroponics, because I know so little, I'm learning far more from the people we work with. I mean, even for the expert, right, the Syrian farmer researcher has learned so much from our colleagues on the ground.
Yes, so to know or to learn how people can make small, simple thing work in the way that benefit them and make their life more easy, I believe this is the co-creation. We have learned a lot of them. We have learned from them as much as we have teach them.
Fantastic. So the co-creation is both between you and people in the refugee camp. It's also, as you demonstrated, I think, all those networks of support within the camps themselves.
And you know, the example of the miniature greenhouse, you know, 3 pots, 1 repurposed soap dispenser pump to make a micro greenhouse. We'd have never thought of that.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, here's a question for 3 men on the stage at the moment. Who does more of the farming, men or women?
I'll let you answer that one.
In fact, it's very hard to tell, but everybody really, the people that we work with them, they are doing very good job. However, we have seen that the women are more interested or they share more, I'm not sure, but they ask a lot and they used to communicate and ask a lot about different issues they are facing, while people, the men try to handle it a little bit before they come and ask what the next move will be.
And to answer that question, so I've sat at the back in training courses, and the training courses often have equal numbers of men and women, and more importantly, equal numbers of male trainers and female trainers.
Good, yeah. Thank you. We've got time for it. I'll just give a couple more. Has giving people a purpose impacted on the home environment and helped reduce stress levels and some of the adverse effects stress can cause on a family?
Well, again, the well-being aspects have been tested in the questionnaires that Moed has put out, and we're actually writing a paper at the moment that brings out the well-being aspects, the stress reduction, the kind of general happiness around the family. I mean, you know, you've got to remember that these are very, very disadvantaged and strained conditions in which to live.
Yeah, again, I would like to add that most of the people in Zaatari camp, in particular, they came from southern part of Syria, where most of the people used to perform a farming type of activity, even the doctor, the engineer. So everybody tried to do some type of farming activity. Due to restriction in the camp, either by the law or limitation of the soil or water, they were not able to do so. Now we give them this chance to practice something that they love to do.
Thank you. Okay, this had better be the last question, and it's a slightly cheeky one. It's asking you if you have a message for the UK government about the funding that's available for this kind of important work.
Yeah, so
I should lob that to you, and you can knock it out of the park.
So the PPE for Refugees grant I talked about did actually get caught up in the UK aid cut, and we've had to reprofile, and it slowed things down. You know, the one thing about aid is that it can bring so much benefit for such small amounts. We've raised £250,000, a bit more now through our Desert Garden appeal, and you've seen more than £250,000 worth of fruit and veg. Much, much more.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, I think we'll bring things to a close there. Can I just say again that I feel privileged and proud to be even marginally connected to this fantastic work. It was originally called Desert Garden. It's called Desert Gardens now, which is important because there's more than one. It's something that the UNHCR is rolling out. It's something which is a model that we can all learn from. So thank you, Tony and Moed, for sharing that with us. The Desert Garden Appeal information is still there on the screen for you to read. And we start again tomorrow with a presentation closer to home, if you like, from Hannah Lammy-Mumford about food insecurity in the UK and the impact of COVID-19 and government response to that here in the UK. So thank you all very much in the audience. Thank you for your questions, but especially thank you to Moed and Tony for such great work.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.